CPI is no more. Finito. Done. Dust. Why would you do this? This is so stupid. Oh, guys, I'm a mecha tanky online. I'm so base. All of this is fucking nonsense, right? Ian Kuczynski, aka Vosh, the personality of the 25-year-old indicates signs of narcissism and sex addiction. Caleb himself is engaged in this behavior. Like, this guy. This guy, seriously. So yeah, I'm not got much fucking sympathy that now it's happening to him. That guy, seriously. We've got Caleb Maupin's response, which, if anyone's got anything else, let me know. My understanding is this is his response to the controversy and to the allegations. I don't think he's released any video statements. I don't think he's done anything. I don't think he's said or done anything in regards to this. I think this constitutes the entirety of his response to what's happened publicly. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit lackluster to say the least. But what you going to do? You got to work with what you got with, right? So Caleb Maupin's response. Let's read it and then let's talk about it. Okay. So a lot of lies about me and what has gone on in CPI are being told, but I clearly have made some very big mistakes. So, okay, the first thing I'd say about this, let me read it in full actually, then I'll go over it and tell you what I think. I need time away from social media to get the help I need to ensure I never bring any aspect of my sex life into political spaces ever again. I also need time to straighten out my personal life and deal with how this has affected my family. When I feel I'm ready, I will likely return to social media, but these things take time. I know I let a lot of people down, and we all need time to process this. Okay. So I think this is quite telling, the first part, okay? So I think what Caleb Maupin is primarily contesting, he is married, yeah. I think what he's primarily contesting is the stuff about I can only guess, of course. I guess he's probably contesting the cult stuff that was accused, right? So it seems pretty clear that he's pushing back against the idea. Oh, how's it going, Kevin? You all right? Is this a communist sex cult stream? Yes, it is. So I think what he's kind of disagreeing with, or what he's suggesting are lies, are all the accusations of CPI being like a cult-like environment, right? That's what I'm getting. That's the hint that I'm getting from this. But he seems to bite a pretty big bullet, and that he says here, I need to get help, the help I need to ensure I never bring any aspect of my sex life into political spaces ever again. So even if we look at this in the best possible way in terms of what he's admitting to, for him, I mean, the most charitable way, I guess, I would say that at the very least, he's admitting to all the weird stuff with spanking, right? In terms of the stuff that was talked about when it was like, oh, we talk about spanking to me and stuff like that. I think really that's, to me, an admission that stuff he's kind of biting the bullet on, right? Because the issue here is, why would he need to straighten out his personal life unless he felt he'd done something wrong, you know? Okay, wait a second. I mean, listen, you're barking up the wrong tree. I don't give a fuck. I think kink shaming can be funny sometimes, so that doesn't matter to me, okay? But the point is like, people are going to mock you if you've got an unusual kink. That's just the reality that we live in, okay? But in genuineness, if Caleb Maupin in his private life, like getting the spankies, then that's fine. That's not really something I think it's worth kind of going him over in and of itself, right? In terms of like a political discussion or criticizing him. It's not about him liking to be spanked. It's about the fact that based on the allegations, he would often bring it up and bring it into like political spaces, right? And on top of that, the other problem that you've got as well is that there's evidence presented that he would bring it up with other comrades, so to speak, and he would do it in a way that was, not appropriate based on the context of what was happening, right? Like you shouldn't bring up, like, if you've got like a fetish, right? You shouldn't bring it up to like your professional colleagues like that unless there's a reciprocal nature or agreement that it's okay to do that in the first place, right? But if you're running an organization, it is like pretty inappropriate for people that have got some sort of like responsibility to you or something to bring up your weird sexual fetish stuff, right? You know, and exactly the other problem he's got as well is based on what we've seen. Thank you very much for the sub,
He's
No Justice.
unironically a groomer, literally grooming people by restricting their income to manipulate them into doing SW for him.
Sure, that's absolutely what the allegations suggest to me when I read them. But what I'm saying is, like, even if you strip away the allegations aspect and you look at, right, what is Caleb Maupin admitting to here? It seems pretty clear that he is at least admitting to the weird stuff around the spanking and being inappropriate in talking about spanking in like this organizing space, right? So yeah. I think that for me, looking at this, I think, you know, he is at least admitting to that, right? But yeah, that's at minimum. That's at minimum, right? I think personally that I think that some of the stuff he's saying are lies. I'm more inclined to believe are true, because if you look at the kind of allegation document as it exists, it's not just like one or two people that have come forward. You've also got other people that are also coming out of the woodwork, some who seemingly have got long-standing relationships with Caleb Maupin, that are also saying, I can verify this part, I can verify that part, you know? So I think that's a to me, I just think, well, if people are coming out that know Caleb, that are willing to back the people that are making these claims and say, yes, I can verify this, that's a big problem, because it goes beyond just he said, she said, right? To Caleb Maupin is saying X, and then the accuser is saying Y, right? And then a third party is saying, actually, what Y is being said here is true, you know? But the thing is, I mean, like I say, unless anyone has got anything else for me, my understanding is this constitutes the entirety of his response to this drama, to this controversy, to the allegations, the misconduct, whatever you want to call it, right? So looking at this purely from a how should you deal with this as a public figure point of view, this is like incredibly lackluster. Like deleting your account and then this is what you release. Presumably, I think this is a WhatsApp message, right? Like this is nowhere near good enough. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so we're about to look at something else which further puts the nail in the coffin. But basically, based on this, Caleb Maupin is done. Oh, is it Telegram? Sorry, my bad. It's Telegram. I didn't realize. Well, whatever it is. My point is he's not come out on a Twitter or a Facebook or something like that and issued a statement. He's done it on a platform which I think is probably a bit more closed off. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is like, apparently, from what I heard, this is like hearsay. I heard that apparently he's embarrassed about these revelations and, you know, is worried about addressing them because they're embarrassing. And the problem is if what was released was just something that was a bit embarrassing for him, he probably could ignore it, right? But the issue that you've got is it's a mixture of it being embarrassing, aka he likes getting spanked, but also some genuine allegations which have got some merit seemingly of some actual misconduct that he's done, you know? So yeah, this is like it's a very cowardly way of dealing with it, I think, you know? I think there's ways and means of dealing with it which are acceptable, and this just doesn't really cut the mustard, and it's only going to work against him, you know? But yeah, the reality is with all of these types of events and all of these types of situations, there is no one that tells you how to deal with it. You know, you're kind of just, you know, swimming upstream trying to deal with this crazy situation that's been handed to you. And that's not me trying to garner sympathy for Caleb Maupin. It's just pointing out the reality that, you know, this is a bad response, and it's bad probably because of some element of Caleb Maupin's character, but also because He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, I can't imagine, you know? But let me tell you this. If Caleb Maupin wants to hop on stream with me, I will give him a fair crack of the whip. I'll give him a fair shake, okay? I promise. I'll give him a fair shake. I won't let him just say whatever he wants. I'll challenge him if I disagree. But Caleb, if you're listening to this at any point, okay, hop on stream and we'll get this all ironed out, my friend, okay? I'll give him a fair spank. I'll give him a fair whack of the paddle, okay? I actually, do you know, I was actually in a group chat once and Caleb Maupin was in there as well a little while ago. I kind of got someone blocked me and I got kicked out, I don't know. But it was funny because like there were just people talking about stuff you would expect kind of lefties to be talking about. But all Caleb would do is like come in and basically promote his stream. Like I remembered this yesterday after stream. I totally forgotten about it, right? But Caleb would just come into the chat whenever he had something to promote. So he'd promote his stream or promote a new YouTube video. He was that kind of group chat user, you know? On the grind set, content brain. But yeah, it was, you know, it was like, oh, look at this, guys, I'm doing this stream, you know, whatever. And it's just like, come on. But yeah. Anyway, so there is also another big piece of news that happened after I finished stream, okay? Or I might have missed it. I can't remember the time frames. And that is as follows. So, there was another announcement from the CPI, Centre for Political Innovations. This is the think tank that Caleb Maupin co-founded or founded, okay? Now, basically, they have issued a previous statement. In fact, I could probably find it quickly. I read this on stream yesterday. I don't know if I need to go over it again. But yeah, basically, you know, they more or less said, you know, we're going to try and progress forward without Caleb Maupin involved. You know, if you're leaving, come back. It's not a problem. We're going to deal with this. You know, and it seemed to be that their goal was to keep going. And their goal was to push forward and just kind of move past the Caleb Maupin stuff. However, unfortunately, there's been another announcement, which is another important reason that I wanted to kind of go live and talk about this. So, let's read the CPI statement. Okay? As of 3 p.m. CST, August 21st, 2022, the Executive Committee of the Centre for Political Innovation has unanimously voted to dissolve the organisation in its entirety and all operating facets. So CPI is no more. They're winding down, they're dissolving, that's it. They're gone. Finito. Done. Dust. All dues paying memberships will be cancelled in the next 24 hours as the operation winds down. Yeah, I tweeted about this. I sent Caleb's Maupin's cheeks got clapped so hard that his entire political legacy has ceased to exist, basically, is what's happened here. Because, you know, CPI, look, you say what you want about Caleb Maupin, okay, but CPI, you know, this is like a kind of a more neutral statement I'm trying to make here. But CPI genuinely represented like his kind of legacy or his political contribution, even if you thought they were a bunch of morons, right? This was his political vehicle. This was his thing that he was using to kind of push communism and socialism, etc. in America, working class organizing it and so on, right? So it's kind of funny. Like, it is kind of funny that this thing that he's put forward is like, right, here's my stamp on the world, because of his own actions now is being dissolved. And it's just like, man, that is a pretty massive, you know, fuck up, isn't it? That is a pretty massive fuck up that he's made there. Because the problem is, and the reason they've got to do this is because CPI and Caleb Maupin are linked. You can't have like, you know, it's crazy to think that you could have CPI and people wouldn't associate it to this drama and this misconduct and all this stuff that's happened, you know? So yeah. Yeah, this is bigger than the fall of the Soviet Union. But another thing as well, I think, is that I kind of wonder as well if this is maybe also a sign that if you create an org, you know, it needs to. If you want to create an org that's going to stand the test of time, you've probably got to do it in such a way that even if you no longer cease to exist or have some controversy, it can still go on without you. You know, because I think the problem you've got is if it's that closely associated to you that some drama can bring it down. Well, it's not worth much, is it? But yeah. Anyway, let's read the rest of the statement. As individual members' lives move on, we ask that you keep in mind that this is one moment in time within the struggle for a better world. Do not let this be the end of your story. Continue to build revolutionary foundations. Continue to rigorously improve yourself and continue to fight. We thank every member from the bottom of our hearts for their help in building the Centre for Political Innovation. We, the Executive Committee, feel that in the short time CPI was operating, that we contributed a great deal to the development of American socialism, and that the legacy for the Centre of Political Innovation will move on to influence generations to come. Solidarity, the Executive Committee of the Centre for Political Innovation. I mean, I guess the thing I'd ask is like, what have they done? And that's a genuine question, okay? I don't know if we got any CPI heads in chat, but what is it exactly the CPI have done? I know they did a few conferences. Oh yeah, the Abraham Lincoln thing. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if you've got evidence of CPI doing something substantive, by all means, let me know. I mean, unless we're talking about this kind of stuff. Let me see if I can find it. I wonder if they deleted any of the things, or they're still up. I mean, unless they're talking about this. Unless they're talking about stuff like this, maybe. Oh, hey, course. Do you know, one thing I never really understood about the Centre for Political Innovation is they had this aesthetic. If you look at the branding, they had this aesthetic and this look of being like, you know, a forward-thinking, you know, modernized, you know, political org, right? Like, the branding seemed to suggest that that's the kind of thing they were going for. And I think, you know, even though I think it was kind of a cringe organization, I think that's probably quite a good idea, because I feel like a lot of lefty stuff is kind of stuck in the past, right? Like, look at this. It looks just like, you know, if you looked at this, well, you can obviously see the things, the announcements. If you look at stuff like this, it just looks like kind of, you know, a modern day political org or something, right? But then they do stuff like this, and you know, because my thought was, okay, well, that looks quite modern. You know, it's got the right look. But then they do stuff like this, and you're just like, well, why would you do this? This is so stupid. It just keeps going. The other thing I never really got about all of this, like all this stuff too, is the idea of this is you're appealing to some semblance or sense of like American patriotism, right? So the idea is you can be patriotic and love your country, right? You can be patriotic and love your country, and you can want to make it better, and the way that you do that is by socialism, communism, etc. So it's reaching out to the common man with that kind of message, right? Why the fuck would you go on about China and fucking the Donbass? Is that the Donbass flag? I don't fucking know. Whatever it is, right? It's just, and Z. It's just crazy to me, right? Because let me tell you what, right? Fucking Joe Sixpack sat in a bar, you know, in some fucking in bumfuck Idaho or whatever. You think he gives a shit about China? If anything, they probably think China are like evil communists. So why the fuck would you do, like, these people claim to have these visions and these goals about where to go and who we're going to talk to with these lefty movements. But then they do stuff that's totally inverse to that, you know? It's so stupid. This is like selling fitness Pop-Tarts. I mean, yeah, exactly. You know, and I do think that there's like, you know, there's a place to have whatever messaging you want to talk about and have whatever politics you want. But it just seems antithetical. It seems totally antithetical to promote the idea of patriotic socialism and then talk about a bunch of stuff that no one gives a shit about. That's like going to be like a kind of your typical patriotic American kind of person, right? It's all just a fucking LARP. Jesus Christ. There's no new ideas. That's the problem. Like, it's just... Oh, man, we need something else. This is just, you know, this is not going to... None of this is going to work, is it? None of this is going to work. None of this is ever going to work. I mean, forget the Caleb, you know, just for a second, forget the Caleb Maupin spanking memes, right? But who is this appealing to? You're appealing to like fucking mecha tank. Oh guys, I'm a mecha tanky online. I'm so based, right? All of these people are the same. The mecha tankies and the cringe they post, the fucking anarchoids, the fucking uwu leftoids, the fucking pronoun mafia. All of these fuckers are the same, okay? None of them have got any appeal. It's all insular online communities, and it's all a total fucking waste of time. Man, fuck this shit. What a fucking joke, I'm telling you. What an absolute joke. All of it. A mecha tanky. So mecha tankies is this like cringe thing that the fucking infrared losers are doing. It's like, oh guys, it's just Reddit shit. Guys, look at this cool picture of like a mecha soldier wearing a mech suit and he's got a fucking USSR flag on him and shit. It's just fucking pathetic. It's all Reddit shit. Chud, has it figured out? Well, I talk about this a lot, obviously, but like, you know, it's all so hopeless and pointless. None of this is reaching the people it needs to reach if you really want to progress like socialism or communism forward, right? You know, at the end of the day, the working person, what they care about is not this online shit, right? They care about money in their pocket. They care about, you know, a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. You know, they care about their boss not fucking them over. They care about their family being provided for. All of this is fucking nonsense, right? And it's just a complete waste of time. It's all a complete fucking waste of time. You know? There is some hope, but it's not coming from like, you know, it's not coming from like online spaces. There's been some strikes in the UK recently. You know, Mick Lynch is someone who I would point to, and obviously this is not America, this is the UK, but that's someone that I would point to as a figurehead who I think does connect with the working class, you know? And he speaks to what their interests are and what their needs are and stuff like that, you know? And it's like, it's done in a way that's not, it's not exclusionary, you know, you're not doing it at the sake of like minorities or whatever, because it's not about that. It's just saying, hey, you know, we're getting fucked over by our bosses. Let's do something about it and get a better deal. And that, I think, is a really strong message to send to people. You know, this is just fucking pathetic and pointless. You know, maybe there is some stuff they did that was good, but this is the shit that people remember, right? So yeah, I just think that all of this is fucking waste of time, pathetic, cringe, nonsense. What's the point, you know? And that's without, you know, that's without considering, everything else. Right, so I've got some takes here that I wanted to go over. So, first of all, someone sent me Mythic Politics take, which was pretty... I feel like this is indicative of people who just don't really know what they're talking about commenting, right? Caleb Maupin getting dragged, but I mean, he's played this down as like a shitpost, I think, but maybe. But anyway, Caleb Maupin getting dragged by left Twitter for loving his cheeks being played like bongos just shows the hypocrisy of progressives who extol the virtues of sex positivity and speak against toxic male stoicism. So, here, right, I can see somewhat of a point, which is, yeah, obviously...
Welcome to Chud Nation.
Wait,
user gifted a tier 1
it's actually Caleb Maupin's Twitch account. Thank you very much for the gifted sub. Like, obviously, you know, if someone presents themselves as sex positive and they're kind of mocking someone for having a weird kink, yeah, sure. But it's not just about that, is it? Like, there's a lot more going on here than just, oh, Caleb Maupin's got a weird kink. It's the fact that he kind of, you know, brought it into his place of work or his place of organizing or whatever, you know, made people uncomfortable, took advantage of someone who was desperate and paid them to be a dominatrix. You know, there's other things going on here that are not just, oh, Caleb Maupin likes getting his ass spanked, you know. But, you know, I can kind of understand maybe, like, because a lot of people are just talking about the spanking stuff because that's the funniest thing. So I guess what I'd say is if you're someone who's sex positive, it is weird if you then go on to, you know, mock someone for having a spanking fetish in itself. But if you're making a broader criticism, that's different, right? Well, yeah, I agree. Obviously, sex positive doesn't mean that sex cults are okay, but there's definitely some people that aren't just talking about that, you know, they're talking just, oh, haha, Caleb Maupin likes to get spanked, you know? And if you're someone that's sex positive, it is a kind of weird way to approach it. But yeah, obviously there's other things going on which are much more pressing or much more important in this case, you know? But yeah, obviously, you know, this is a very kind of reductive take that doesn't take into account all of the complexities and issues that are present in the Caleb Maupin thing, you know? You go off, kin, get them fullets tenderized, hit them shits with a spike bat, literally dangle your toes in a wood chipper, you do you, comrade. I didn't follow the story, I just saw one tweet about him and started shitposting. I mean, this is what I mean, he's trying to play it off as a shitpost, but it seems to be making a serious point, which, if it was just Caleb Maupin likes spanking, you know, I'm mocking him for liking being spanked, sure, but it's a much deeper story than that, right? But yeah. Caleb getting spanked isn't the issue, it's a psychopathic way he treated these people, which people? And then he links the article. But yeah. But yeah, obviously, reductive take, which... He's played off as shit posting. I think he was trying to make a more serious point. I think he just saw someone tweeting about him liking getting spanked and went in a bit heavy on it, you know. We got a few more takes here. Let's have a look. The same people who call it abuse when Caleb Maupin... This is Peter Coffin, obviously. The same people who call it abuse when Caleb Maupin does kink or is an addiction either is deserving of empathy. Spend all day talking about how beautiful their sex thing is. See, the problem I've got with takes like this, and I suppose maybe the other one as well, is like, well, hang on a sec. What about Caleb Maupin's hypocrisy? In that he is someone that I believe presents himself as being anti-sex work or critical of sex work as being exploitative, but then he's happy to engage in it in his private life. And I'm kind of like, well, hang on a second. Are we not going to talk about that hypocrisy that exists, you know? And I mean, I can agree that like Caleb Maupin should get help. Sure. Like I'm on board with that, right? I'm on board with that. However, there's another hypocrisy that Caleb Maupin is engaged in too. Okay. This one is why I just find it hard to have any sympathy for Caleb Maupin. okay? Because he is a hypocrite in like so many different ways, it's insane. But takes like this, I feel, don't take into account the following, okay? So, we're being critical for this cancel culture post and all this shit, right? What about Caleb Maupin's book? What about Caleb Maupin's book about fucking BreadTube, okay? What about Caleb Maupin's book about BreadTube? Okay, let's have a little read of Caleb Maupin's words about Ian Kuczynski, aka Vosh, okay? Let's have a little look at what he had to say about Vosh in his book, shall we? Let's have a little look, shall we? Okay, here we go. Ian Kuczynski has admitted that he did indeed sexually harass at least one woman while he operated under the moniker Irish Laddie, sending them inappropriate messages, including statements about and photos of his genitals, and threatening to dox the woman if she went public about his behaviour. Vosh has acknowledged and apologised for such actions. A large number of unconfirmed rumours about other sexual misconduct allegedly perpetuated by Vosh can be found online. So hang on a fucking minute, okay? Hang on a fucking minute, right? Hang on a fucking minute, right? Caleb Maupin wrote a book within which, whether you like or dislike Vosh, right? He commented on stuff that had happened with Vosh, even highlighting this idea that there is a large number of unconfirmed rumours about other sexual misconduct allegedly perpetuated by Vosh. So why, Peter Coffin, were you not being critical of Caleb Maupin for doing this when he spoke about Vosh? If I remember correctly, Peter Coffin, you were very supportive and you were very praiseful of this book when it came out. So why weren't you speaking on Caleb doing this about Vosh at the time? Maybe it's because you're friends with Caleb Maupin, and maybe it's because you really don't like Vosh, and that's fine. You can like and dislike who you like, but I just feel it's very fucking cringe to be, critical of what's happening with Caleb Maupin. Yet when Caleb Maupin did the same thing with Vosh, talking about unconfirmed rumours about other sexual misconduct, you didn't have a fucking word to say about it. Like, come on. This is just fucking completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous that you've got this standard one direction because it's your friend, but then in the other direction, right? But then in the other direction, you've kind of like are willing to just let this slide. Let's continue on. Let's continue on. The personality of the 25-year-old indicates signs of narcissism and sex addiction. What the fuck is this? And then he talks about the autistic spectrum, bigoted views, he goes on. I don't know if he talks about more sex stuff. But the point here is, is that Caleb is willing himself to put in his book comments about fucking controversies that Vosh has been involved in, right? Where's the criticism of this? Where's the criticism of this from Peter Coffin? I've always, Peter Coffin is obviously considered a bit of a lolcow in a lot of kind of areas of the internet, right? But I have in the past spoken with Peter Coffin in a, friendly way, no problems. But I just find it really frustrating that his focus about this, or their focus about this, is so much about the cancel culture aspect. Because I too am someone that is critical of cancel culture, okay? And certainly there's going to be people out there who are focused on like the destruction of Caleb Maupin, okay? Which, I'm not on board. Like, what's happened has happened, right? It's funny. But like, genuinely, yeah, sure. Caleb, go and seek some fucking help for your nutty spanking shit you keep bringing into the... Sure, I'm on board with that, right? Do you see what I mean? Wait, there's more weird sex stuff. Oh, yeah, there's this stuff here. Yeah. Kuczynski seems to have an odd fascination with noncery. In one debate, he argued that purchasing a laptop computer was morally equivalent to purchasing that. I don't want to say it for the purpose of the YouTube video. In other instances, he has argued for ending age of consent laws, though he has since claimed to have changed his position. The website Drama Report published an article... Oh, wait, this is also really bad as well. The website Drama Report published an article on September 8th, 2020, featuring claims from a former friend of Vosh who said he admitted to her that he had viewed this and that she had reported him to the FBI. So Caleb Maupin is quoting a website called Drama Report, you know, talking about Vosh like this, and I'm supposed to feel sympathy for him because, oh no, he's getting cancelled. Well, fuck me, what do you think Caleb was trying to do here? What do you think Caleb is trying to do here? You think he's saying this just as like, oh, look, Vosh is, you know... Caleb is saying this because he wants to smear Vosh's reputation, right? And whether you like or dislike Vosh, I think we can agree that this is framed in like the worst possible way to, you know, maximally smear Vosh's name, including this comment here where he talks about a large number of unconfirmed rumours about other sexual misconduct, right? Here's the thing. Here's the problem. This is the way I see it, right? You live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you're going to write a book in which you don't just make political disagreements with someone, you talk in detail about controversies they're involved in and unconfirmed rumours of sexual misconduct, right? Yeah, if the same shit happens with you, I ain't going to have much fucking sympathy for you, right? Do you see what I mean? It's not just about Vosh, no. It's not just about Vosh. It just seems crazy to me that we're sort of soying out about this shit happening to Caleb when Caleb himself is engaged in this behaviour. Like, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy, seriously. Whether you like or dislike Vosh is irrelevant. It's just highlighting that Caleb is fucking gleefully engaged in this kind of fucking gossip shit with other fucking content creators, right? So yeah, I'm not got much fucking sympathy that now it's happening to him. Fuck that guy. Seriously. Do you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. Genuinely, if there was a book about BreadTube that was critical and it didn't include this fucking gossip bullshit, then fine. But yeah, you live by the gossip, you die by the gossip. That's the way it goes, okay?
Welcome to Chud Nation.
An anonymous user.
I've seen counterpost after counterpost for the years. My opinion is there's some degree of truth to all of it, but that's ultimately personal drama being labelled as abuse. It's stuff that a process should be in place to handle. I mean, sure, the CPI should have a process to handle this. It seems that the process, though, is we're going to wrap things up because this is too fucking embarrassing for us. Entirely true things can be stated quickly and plainly, though, so my opinion is some core of it is accurate, and context is some intentionally embellished and complicated during the writing of the post. I don't know what is or isn't true, and I will not claim to. Again, I've seen enough smear campaigns, including the smear campaign by Caleb Maupin. You're talking about that one too, to know the type of writing styles that go into them. This, to my sensibilities, is a lot of exaggeration written around true things. In any case, this was something to stage an intervention about, not farm social clout from. But yeah. You know, I get it, I guess. You know, obviously I know that Peter and Caleb have got some level of relationship. So I just think that, to me, you know, I don't know why you'd fuck. Caleb Maupin is fucked up pretty royally here, you know. And the thing is like, why would you go fucking so hard to defend Caleb Maupin when he's barely even defending himself, you know? Like, fuck me. And then we got shit like this as well. Here we go. I don't know who this person is. Daniel Burke? Caleb Maupin is my friend. I'm his friend because I see in him a desire and a capability to contribute something necessary to humanity's future. The political elimination of CPI should not have been allowed. Sorry, what political elimination are we talking about here exactly, right? Here's the series of events. An article came out which made some pretty damning allegations about Caleb Maupin, okay? Caleb Maupin didn't respond to it and he deleted his Twitter account, right? I'm sure there was some stuff happening behind the scenes, but in principle, Caleb Maupin didn't respond to it and deleted his Twitter account. CPI released an embarrassing statement, which was like, at one point they were like critical of sex work for some reason, which seemed completely unnecessary. Okay? Right? And they said that we're going to try and continue on. And they later then released a statement saying, we've voted and we've decided we're going to wrap things up. Can anyone explain to me where this political elimination of the CPI came from? Okay. The reason the CPI have been politically eliminated is because of fucking Caleb Maupin. Are you serious? They self-eliminated. This is like fucking saying someone who committed suicide was murdered. Do you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. God, these takes are so fucking bad. Like, the copium is off the charts. It's off the fucking charts, you know? My recommendation in these circumstances is to either be extremely vague whilst you're tweeting, okay? Or alternatively, take the Haas Jackson Hinkle route. You know, to be fair to Haas and Jackson Hinkle, they have fucking played a blinder on this. Because do you know what they're doing? They're just ignoring it. They're not talking about it, okay? And obviously they have got very clear ties, having worked with CPI before. They have got very clear ties to Caleb Maupin. But they're the fucking smart ones because they're not commenting on it. They're not commenting on it. That's the best thing that you can do in this situation, you know? It's crazy. Like, why would you comment on it like this? Starting off, Caleb Maupin is my friend. God, it's so stupid. Under Caleb's leadership, CPI did something in 2022 that made a significant positive difference in the state of the world. They brought together principled opponents of the Anglo-American oligarchy in person to build a coalition to prevent World War III and cooperate with Russia and China. Right, okay. It's just, you know, it's just like, oh, well, he did these things that I think politically are good. So, yeah, there's that. Like, okay, like... How does that address the fucked up shit that he's done? Which Caleb has admitted himself. Yes, he brought weird sex stuff into the organizing shit. Like, this is the biggest mistake you can make sometimes is like, if the person is saying, oh yeah, I fucked up, I made these mistakes. To go so hard at him like this just seems like such a fucking stupid decision. Oh, hey Dylan. What is Putin's and Z's stance on spanking though? I mean, they'd probably be up for it, right? I'd imagine. Anyway, the efforts of CPI members to build this coalition help send a message to people across the world that there are honest, passionate Americans who want peace through development. What organisations other than CPI have had the courage to call for the US to join the BRI? I mean, it's like, you could set up any org that calls for anything. Like, I could set up an org tomorrow that calls for some fucking whack shit that makes me brave. It doesn't mean anything though, does it? Jesus fucking Christ. Those who insisted that it was necessary for justice to tell all are even disingenuous or blind. Sure. So one thing I would say is that there were points in the expose that it did feel gratuitous. And there were definitely points while I was reading it and I was just thinking, I don't really feel like I need to know this, right? Like, this seems like an excessive amount of information. And I guess it just comes from people wanting to tell their side of the story. They feel they've been wrong, so they want to kind of say as much as they can. But I think that, to be honest with you, some of it probably didn't need to be in there. I mean, it was like, it took me 3 hours to go through it on stream. It was a 1 hour read. I think that you really could have stripped it back and focused on the actual misgivings and wrongdoings of say, Caleb Maupin. You know, like, obviously it's fun to read, but that's because I'm looking at the gossip and drama aspect. In terms of an expose, definitely some of it felt gratuitous, you know? Anyway. An organisation capable of mobilising as CPI did in 2022 is capable of handling a leader's serious errors with maturity, but the members were not given that opportunity. Instead, a small group of people decided to serve Caleb up to the court of public opinion, an arena dominated by hateful breadtube streamers. Oh my god. Oh guys, it's breadtube, it's breadtube. And I'm sorry, again, right? Look. You live by the sword, you die by the sword, okay? Whatever your perspective on it is, Caleb Maupin has absolutely attacked BreadTube in the past and BreadTube personalities, right? You can't be an obnoxious dickhead that attacks other people. And look, Caleb Maupin's criticisms, as we saw in that portion about Vosh, are not just political. It's not just political disagreements. There's gossipy, personal shit there as well. So, yeah, guess what? If you're going to be fucking like that and attack other people for this, they're going to attack you back. I mean, they probably would anyway, in any case. But the point is, if you're more likely to get sympathy from me at least if you don't make it personal and other people do. But Caleb Maupin himself has made it personal in his attack. So yeah, fucking tough shit, bro. Live by the sword, die by the sword. What? Like fucking hell. Who despise Caleb for his ability to reach large numbers of people with a message of peace from Russia and China. The result is the dismantling of CPI. Is this justice? What good has been done by this preemptive war of retribution on his reputation? Who benefits from the end of the CPI? Who benefits from the removal of Caleb Maupin from the political scene? Caleb is a target of the Ukrainian government on the blacklist of with the support of the US State Department, on the blacklist of the Center for Countering Disinformation as a Putin propagandist. The Ukrainian government called those targets information terrorists who should be treated as war criminals. Guys, what about the fact the US state are after him? Guys, come on. The problem with this logic as well is how far do you take this? Like, what if Caleb Maupin was accused of something far more serious than even what he's been accused of? Like, do we just go, oh, well, he's under attack, so we can't really go after him? Like, come on, that's fucking crazy. Like, how much, I understand this person is their friend and they are extremely biased, but like, come on, man, this is fucking hella copium. At least Peter Coffin was willing to say, I think some of it's true. And like, but this guy's just like, oh, he's under attack. Come on, what do you mean? A key member of the hateful BreadTube axis, Abigail Thorne, with 1.19 million subscribers on YouTube, has been documented to have been an asset of Prince Charles' Royal Institution. What the fuck has this got to do with anything? What has this got to do with anything? Why would you bring this up? It was Caleb who brought the network into focus with his June 2021 book, BreadTube Serves Imperialism. Yes, alongside all the personal shit he chose to speak about too. Jesus Christ. CPI conferences provided a platform for people who have been viciously attacked by the US government. In Chicago, they hosted the Uhuru movement, which was raided by the FBI using the same excuse of Russian interference used in the Russiagate fraud. Reed Alexandra also spoke. Caleb is a person capable of acknowledging that he has been wrong about something and changing completely. He called for the exoneration of Lyndon LaRouche when no one else dared, publicly describing how talks with the late Ramsey Clark had changed his mind about LaRouche. I've heard a lot about this LaRouche person, and this person's name is Exonerate LaRouche. What's the deal with that? You have to realise that these people who join the CPI like a cult, ready to take up for their leader, it happens in so many groups. They need time to step back and see their God for who he really is. Yeah, that's interesting. You're probably right, yeah. I don't know much about it, so I don't want to speak on it too much. But, yeah. Let's continue on. This is the last one anyway. Wait, what? This guy's fucking lost. This guy's fucking Looney Tunes. He's lost the plot. Nuclear annihilation war may soon be the result of NATO provocations. Many nations of the world are in a state of rapid economic collapse. But a new, just international economic system is also being born. Caleb wants the US to join that rather than destroy it. I do too. Fuck me. What a fucking loser. Holy shit, man. Jesus Christ. Okay, listen. Someone just sent me a message. LaRouche is saying watch this and linked an hour-and-a-half video. I don't have time to watch an hour-and-a-half video today. Is there anything shorter that gives me a bit of insight into the LaRouche stuff? God, this is just like, come on, man. How much copium? You're going to fucking overdose on copium, bro. Like, what the fuck? Jesus. Anyway, just some bad takes I saw out there. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Right, what's this? What's this I saw? This is from the Vosh subreddit, aka the CIA subreddit. Maupin smiling in an old Vosh video when Vosh says Maupin is scolding him like a schoolboy. What the fuck is this?
Fascists or what have you, claiming that like I'm spitting on the legacy of the Black Panther Party or of other people who were revolutionary socialists in their time, telling me, you know, like shame. You said shame quite a bit, which felt like I was kind of being like scolded by like a school teacher or something. But yeah, I guess I was a little bit confused by your intentionality there. I'd be interested in seeing if we could arrive at an amicable resolution. Also, if I do at any point seem tired or out of it, it is not because I'm disinterested in this conversation. It's because I just suffered critical brain damage following an earlier debate today. But hopefully that will not affect me. I am a strong man, and I will try my best. Okay, that's all I have to say.
All right. Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Vosh, we may not agree on a lot, but one thing I think we can agree on is that Fox News is no good. And you'll notice that whenever they have a Muslim on Fox...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I thought this was going to be something more, but it's just, yeah, oh well. Sorry, guys. That was a bit of a nothing burger for me. I don't know. Maybe if Caleb Moore was like, "Ooh, school teacher, tell me more," maybe I might be a bit more like, "Yeah, now we're talking." But yeah. Not much to go on there.